It's the month of October. You know what that means. No, it's not spoopy season. It is playoff Major League Baseball going down. How far are the boys in blue going to make it this year? Do they have what it takes to surpass both the D-backs and the Braves? Find out in this next edition of Sideline Sports Podcast. Welcome to Sideline Sports Podcast. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Sideline Sports Podcast. I'm the host, Alex Naveja, where if you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. I want to first apologize that kind of went a little quiet last week, didn't put an interview up for interviews under the lights, or didn't put an episode up last week. I actually got to cover some women's volleyball for Cal State Dominguez Hills, pinch hitting there for a good friend, Andrew Rector. Hey, shout out Andrew, always getting us on Dodger Vision there at Dodger Stadium. But if you guys are liking the content that we're putting out there, we will for sure have an interviews under the lights on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You guys can follow us down below. We'll put all our social media handles there. Also, hit the subscribe button while you're at it, the thumbs up, and the notification bell. But without further ado, you guys already know who this is. But you know, he needs a big-time intro because not only is he the brand manager for BR Walkoff, he only knows like Mookie Betts like compas, like that's his straight compa. He's pretty sure like compa, que le parece Zamora type of thing. He is also the host of Locked On Dodgers, and he's also the host of Chavez Ravine Fiend. Goes by the name of Vince Samperio. What is going on, my guy?
What's up, man? Yeah, Mookie definitely knows who I am, so that's always pretty cool.
Does he have like a nickname for you at all? Does he just call you by Vince, or just
his team calls me Big Man, which is always an easy nickname for a guy like me. So that's usually how it goes.
Big Man or like big guy, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I know you just recorded an episode yesterday. It was Mookie and Freddie, right? Up in the suites?
Yeah, Mookie wrapped up his first season of his podcast, episode number 18. This one had Freddie Freeman, the first one from Dodger Stadium. So it was pretty cool. Had Dodger Stadium in the background. Obviously, Freddie and Mookie get along, so it was easy conversation for those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I bet. That's the thing about the Dodgers. They do really well chemistry-wise. I've always been curious, where can you even find these episodes? Like, I don't know, like, where can you find them?
Yeah, in the moment when they go live, they're in the Bleacher Report app.
Okay.
But now, since they're all wrapped up and everything's done, you can find them on Bleacher Report YouTube. Just search On Base with Mookie Betts on the Bleacher Report YouTube, and then BR Walkoff and Bleacher Report. We'll post clips here and there, but like the full episodes are on YouTube.
And a producer name, is it going to be saying Vince Samperio, or what's up? Is your name going to be in there somewhere, or what?
Actually, I don't know. I never looked up the thing, but I'm definitely in there somewhere.
Hey, man, you have to, man. You're like on every episode. Come on, just got to give the credits to you. Why not?
Yeah, I help put together what to talk about, so I'm definitely a producer. So
there you go, man. I mean, I know you and I were having some talks before we jumped on here about that, but let's talk about some playoff baseball, man. I mean, the Dodgers just get to chill, relax this whole entire week. Last night they had intra-squad and they allowed some season ticket holders to be there. What did that look like last night? I mean, what were some unique situations that Dave Roberts put them in? What were some things that stood out to you last night?
yeah, it was cool. I was there as media, so usually the media is there for some of these workouts and stuff. They brought some fans in. They wanted some crowd noise. So down the third base line, just on the field level, they had fans down there. That was cool. And then, they just put different guys in different situations. So if you're a pitcher, there's pitchers that were there to help work out the hitters, guys like Kyle Hurt, guys like Brian Hudson, who probably aren't going to be on the postseason roster, but just there to give the guys some different looks. And on the pitching side, a lot of the pitchers went through different situations, mostly the relievers. So, the inning would end technically, but then they'd put a runner on second for the next guy, and he'd start with runner on second, nobody out, try to get out of that situation. So, couple hits here and there. Michael Bush actually hit a home run off Brusdar Graterol, which was interesting because Graterol hasn't allowed a run since like July, but he allowed a run in this little inter squad game. But other than that, Miguel Rojas had a squeeze bunt single, RBI. Kike had a hit, Mookie had a hit, Freddie had a hit. So there was some good hits all around, good pitching. But mostly it was just them kind of staying fresh, ready to go for Saturday.
Hey man, I hope that Brusdar keeps it within the intra squad of not allowing the ball go yard against the Diamondbacks in that NLDS. But it looks like most of the core of the team is hitting. They're showing some results and such. And how about the big news that Kershaw is healthy and he will be pitching game one? How huge is that? That is probably the biggest news that the Dodgers can receive going into the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't quite sure what to expect from Kershaw, especially came back from injury, was pitching basically once a week the final month, 6 weeks of the season, and not really going too deep into the games. 5 innings was the most he went in any of those starts. But that was all to preserve him for now. He says he's ready to go. He can go on 4 days rest, which is the bigger news because if they do go to a game four, Kershaw can come back and pitch that game four on regular rest. Wouldn't need anything, special. That means Bobby Miller, who's probably going to go in game two, would be available for game five. So it opens up a few things, but it's 2008 Kershaw was pitching in the postseason, and now it's 2023 and Kershaw's starting game one of the postseason. Still, it's he's ageless wonder, and obviously a lot of things happened injury wise and off the field for him to maybe be that number one guy. But 2.46 ERA and 24 starts. I mean, you can't argue with what he's gonna give him on Saturday.
I definitely have trust in Kershaw. I mean, at first, he was almost like fresh deer legs, kind of wobbly, and just couldn't quite find his groove in the postseason. But lately, you're able to trust him with the ball in these big stages, and now he's able to do it there. But do you have a word as far as what the official rotation is going to look like? You said Kershaw one, you said Bobby Miller two. Would it be Lynn three, maybe Sheehan four, and then would there the fifth rotation spot? Who would that be?
Yeah, I think because of the days off and the way it's structured, they could get away with just three starters if Kershaw can go on 4 days rest instead of the 5 days he was getting in the regular season. That means Kershaw could pitch 1 and 4, Miller could pitch 2 and 5, and then they need somebody for game three. They haven't said anything for game three yet. I would imagine it's between Lance Lynn and Ryan Pepio for that, depending what they want. It will be on the road in Arizona where the ball travels a little bit better. It's a more of it's a big outfield, but it's still a friendly to hitters. So I don't know if you want to see Lance Lynn out there, but he is he's the veteran. He's been there before, but he does give up a lot of home runs. Where Ryan Pepio's rookie hasn't been there before, but was very good at not allowing runs there the last month of the season when he came back from injury. So either way, however this ends up piecing out, is going to be a collection of arms getting 27 outs a game rather than, any starter really doing much other than Bobby Miller, who went 6 innings and almost like 9 of his last 10 starts or something like that. Nobody really is going to be expected to go more than 5 innings from the Dodgers starting rotation. And, if Sheehan doesn't start a game, he'll definitely be used in a game. If Pepio doesn't start a game, he'll definitely be used in a game. They have Ryan Yarbrough who could come in and, throw some innings from the left side. Kind of, it'd be interesting to see him like throw after Bobby Miller, where you're seeing 98, 100 all game, and then Yarbrough comes in throwing 84. But yeah, other than Kershaw and Miller starting, it's going to be a wild ride to see how they get those 27 outs.
I want to backtrack to what you were talking about as far as do you go with the Lance Lynn and maybe sacrifice, possible long balls, but he has the experience, or do you go with Ryan Pepio, who this is his first time being in the big stage and it's just kind of like a roll of the dice and you just don't know what you're gonna get? I would personally like to see Lance Lynn. I mean, his experience goes way back as far as him being with the St. Louis Cardinals, with the Texas Rangers, and being in the playoffs. He certainly has been there in these playoff stages and in these big stages. I'd want to see Lance Lynn number three, and yeah, maybe number four. You maybe throw in Pepio or a Sheehan, or that's a good thing about the Dodgers bullpen. And again, we've just seen like an evolution of pitching in the playoffs. starters only go like 5, if anything 6, and then it just turns into a bullpen game. For the rest of it, it's the bullpen riding out the game and holding on to whatever the score may be. You're either down or you're up or you're tied. And that's what it's come down to. Get through the 5, scoreless, and throw it up to the bullpen to kind of take care of that. And that's exactly what the Diamondbacks did against Milwaukee. And honestly, we talked about this before we jumped on. That was my favorite wild card series, the most action packed. Both games, it was Milwaukee jumping on the scoreboard first, but then you see the Diamondbacks coming out of nowhere. You see guys like Corbin Carroll, Perdomo. You also have Ketel Marte, guys coming up big, Christian Walker, just coming up with the big hits and doing their jobs. And they come from behind in the middle of the game up until the last third of the game. And that's just mind-boggling. And the bullpen doing its job for the Snakes, man.
Yeah, that game 1, their starter didn't get out of the 4th inning, and then the bullpen held the Brewers scoreless the rest of the way. There was a lot of traffic, and they maybe got a little bit lucky. Bases loaded, 1 out. Tyrone Taylor hit a bullet, probably 105 or more off the bat, but Evan Longoria made a really nice play, doubled them up. Evan Longoria made a few nice plays that game, so they stepped up defensively. They had, the Diamondbacks have a good mix of veterans and young guys, and if the young guys don't get phased by the moment, then they're just baseball players, and that's Corbin Carroll, first postseason appearance, and he homers in game 1. You had Alec Thomas in game 2. He homered for first postseason, not game, but second postseason game ever. Like, these guys stepped up, and they did their job. And then you had Zach Gallen, who didn't quite have his Cy Young stuff, but still was able to get through 6 and give them that lane to kind of get their bullpen a little bit rested to get through that second game. So yeah, they're a good team. They were obviously in first place ahead of the Dodgers for the first half of the season for a while, and then the Dodgers just kind of turned it on there in July and August and kind of ran away with the division. But in a short series, if the series went 5, you're going to see Gallen twice, you're going to see Merrill Kelly twice. So that's where it gets a little iffy for the Dodgers, where the fact that this game only went 2 games instead of 3. Now Merrill Kelly gets to start on Saturday. You get Zach Gallen on Monday, and it's a little bit different than if it had gone 3 games.
Man, I just got to say, if I'm the Dodgers, you saw it in the wild card game that even if the Dodgers jump in with the lead, they know that that lead possibly is not going to be safe with this Diamondbacks lineup. And the way I'm expecting this is both teams are like, hey, listen, we have gone at it so many times, 16 and 19 times this season. I'm expecting both of these teams coming out with haymakers and throwing up their top dogs and throwing in their big guns, and they're gonna go in just scoring. They're gonna go off. And if I'm the Dodgers, I'm scared if I'm up, but then if the Diamondbacks can make a comeback. We saw what they did with Milwaukee, and I get it, 2 different teams, Milwaukee and the Dodgers. But I'm just saying, if I'm the Dodgers, I'm not going to feel safe until the scoreboard says final, just because this is a very young and a very scrappy Diamondbacks team. And as you saw it, this isn't a team that's going to be swinging for the fences, which they did. They did against Milwaukee, but that's not their intent. Their game is, hey, we're going to get on base. We're going to steal off of you, because like the ESPN broadcasters did to tip it off to them. Great job on them getting this stat. They really emphasized on the success rate of stealing bags. And that's just a big time game. Like, you look at some of the guys that can steal bases, like Carroll could steal bases. Marte could steal bases. David, I think they sent Pham. I think they sent Pham to steal a bag one time. Like, everybody has that opportunity to steal a base there. Alec Thomas, a lot of the guys can steal bases, and the base running pedigree, it's there for the Diamondbacks. So if I'm Will Smith, if Austin Barnes is going to be the one catching Kershaw on Saturday, you guys got to be playing on the balls of your feet, and you guys got to be ready to have a real quick pop time and be ready to receive the ball well and throw down a second. And you got to be on top of it. You got to be on it if you're the Dodgers, especially if they're going to be stealing bases.
Yeah, if you remember, one of the first series, might have been the first series of the season against the Diamondbacks in Arizona, like, they ran all over the Dodgers. They won, either 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4, swept them, something like that. But they had like double digit stolen bases in that series. And it was one of those where the beginning of the season, it was an issue for the Dodgers with allowing guys to steal bases. And it was mostly on the pitchers because, Will Smith has a good arm, but if the guy's already all the way there by the time he gets the ball, there's really no way for him to get anybody. Austin Barnes, different story, doesn't have the arm, but I don't see him catching in this series unless they absolutely need it, like someone asked for it. Because the Dodgers do have a good DH now with JD Martinez, so and they need Will Smith in the lineup. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, you got to cut down the run game. The easiest way to cut down the run game is not to let them get on base. And if the Dodgers can do that, that's obviously the easiest way to do all that. So and then like you said, on the offensive side, the best way to prevent a comeback is to keep scoring. And the Dodgers, in October, kind of the theme we see a lot of the times is they'll score early, especially off a good starter, and then they'll kind of not score in that middle part of the game. And then you're counting on your bullpen in a 1-run, 2-run game late in the game. And, that's always kind of tricky to maneuver. So if you're the offense, you want to score early, score often, and like keep the pedal down the whole way, not to, can't let up just because you have 3 or 4 runs. Like, no, you should be, trying to get 7 or 8 runs and make your pitchers comfortable. Because when you do have a lot of young pitchers or inexperienced pitchers, like pitching with the lead's a lot easier.
Absolutely. I mean, the key of the game is get the young talents. If you're Bobby Miller's clearly going to get the ball, and as you said Pepiot is going to get the ball at some point. Sheehan's going to get the ball at some point, and the key would definitely be to give them leads, have them pitch when they have a lead, so they can have confidence and they can feel good pitching in their first playoff experience or first playoff game. And I think that would be a big time key. I got 2 questions, pretty straightforward. Yes or no questions. Do you see the Dodgers being able to surpass the Serpents?
I say yeah. I think this team remembers what happened last year in the NLDS. I think they learned from it. They, and there's an article the other day that came out that they, kind of relearned how to enjoy winning. Miguel Rojas, David Peralta, Jason Hayward kind of helped out with that, where the Dodgers were so used to winning that they didn't really, enjoy it during the regular season. And then that puts so much more emphasis on October that when you lose, you're like, well, that was a waste of a whole season. But now you enjoy it throughout the season. And now you're like, okay, now it's a new season, win the series. And that's all you're focusing on. So I think they have the better team. They should win it. They have home field advantage. They have everything in order. I think they get it done.
All right. And I'm going to finish it up right here. The Dodgers, as you're predicting, they go to the NLCS. Who's their opponents? Because I'm hearing mixed things. People are saying the clear one is the Braves. I'm hearing Phillies because of their rotation and because of how deep that lineup is. But I want to hear, what's Vince's take?
Yeah, I mean, the Phillies are scary because they do have that lineup. And then when it gets to the postseason, like in the regular season, they might not have the rotation depth that they need in order to be a 100-win team. They won 90 games this year. They won 86 or 87 last year when they made the World Series. But once you get into October, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler at the top of that rotation, that's a nasty one too. You added Ranger Suarez. He's a solid 3 that can give you 4 or 5 innings. So they're scary. Atlanta's coming in limping a little bit on the pitching side. Max Fried coming off injury. You got Charlie Morton's out for this series. They still have Spencer Strider, but Strider is going to strike out 10 guys a game, but you don't know how many runs he's going to allow in those games. So I think the Braves Dodgers matchup has to happen in the NLCS. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that's what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be a hard fought series for sure. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Phillies win. Obviously, between Wheeler and Nola, maybe being able to shut down that Braves offense. But that Braves offense was just so good. 1 through 9, they had almost more than half their lineup hit 25, 30 home runs. So it's going to be, and in the playoffs, home runs is the way to win more games. The team that hits more homers usually wins because that's the easiest way to score runs in the playoffs. You're not usually going to get 3, 4 hits in a row, but you can get one swing and get a run. That usually is more efficient.
Pretty good take, I got to say. And I mean, I think everybody wants to see that, whether you're a Dodgers or a Braves fan. I think people just want to see some great quality baseball. And in the NL, I think that's maybe going to be the best baseball you're going to get. Dodgers, Braves, and these last couple of years, it's been it. Those have been the 2 biggest teams in the NL squaring off. And right now, the Braves have the Dodgers number with the amount of times the Braves have eliminated the Dodgers. So can they reverse it? We're going to have to find out. And then again, Dodgers rotation, not 100%. That's why you got to turn to a strong bullpen. But again, Dodgers got to take care of business first, starting on Saturday. That is a 6:20 first pitch time. Game 1 will be here in LA. Buy your tickets, guys, whether you're a Dodgers, Diamondbacks, or you want to experience a baseball here in Los Angeles, playoff baseball, that is. And if you can't, tune into TBS. You'll be able to catch it there. 6:20 first pitch time. But that's all the time we have left here on Sideline Sports Podcast. We thank you all so much for tuning into this one. If you guys enjoyed it, please give us a thumbs up. Comment down below what your guys' prediction will be in the NL bracket side of things. Can the Diamondbacks defeat the Dodgers? Do you maybe see the Phillies defeating the Braves or vice versa? I want to hear the predictions, guys. And of course, follow us on all of our social medias down below. Subscribe to the channel and also hit the notification bell. But on my left-hand side, that's Vince Samperio, host of Locked On Dodgers with Ravine Fiend, and he is a soon-to-be producer, guys. I'm telling you, mark my words, he's going to be a producer for BR Walkoff. Vince, as usual, man, thanks for stopping by and talking Dodgers baseball. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, always glad to be here. Appreciate it.
Let's see how they do it, man. Let's see how they do it. But I'm Alex Naveja from Sideline Sports Podcast saying hasta luego, buenas tardes, and enjoy the playoff baseball.